Good morning. How are you?
Good. Waking everybody up out there.
Good.
And now, detailing success in PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle. And now, here's Renny.
What's up? Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning. I got to get that stuff out of the way. You know, it used to do it automatically, and now I got to do it manually, and I always forget.
Oh my gosh, we've got that's such a third world problem, right? You know,
I know. What do they call them? You know, white people problems. I would say rich people problems, but I'm not rich.
Yeah. You know what though? Compared to probably 80% of the world, you are. Isn't that weird? Think about this. I mean, think about like India and the amount of of struggling people. Think about some of the the continent of Africa. We're rich. Plus, we're rich in spirit.
Yeah.
You know. Look you've got me as a friend.
Oh, that's
you're
like
a
wealth.
Gazillionaire.
It's like
you're actually
wealth that comes with a lot of debt.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's good morning, everybody. We've got a lot of good mornings sharing with us, and so I have your coffee, Sergio. I like that. Good morning, man. So, hey, we're going to jump into this. We got a really cool week going on. These guys haven't heard of this. Typically, our December training. So we got our 5-day training right now. Some of my best friends have come out of this month's training. And so if you historically go back through Mafia, is that some amazing, amazing people have been in the December training. People that are 15 years later, like family to me. So the December one. It's also, I like Christmas, and so you can see, did you guys notice Diane decorated for you guys? It's for me, and I keep them up until the January training because I love Christmas decorations, right? Just love the whole thing. So hey, we got a special sorry, Chris.
When did the decorations go up?
I don't know, the last few days. It was like, I think she did them on Friday or Saturday. Cool. So yeah, so they'll be here when you naturally when you get here now, but next week.
By the way, I have a special decoration to add to the shop this year, specifically for Diane. So
she liked your sign on the back of our camper. Did you guys see it? He knows when you're pooping. There's an inside story to that. She does not like cleaning the portable toilet, in the camper out. So, so Chris put that sign up for her. So, hey, special thanks, PNS, Braid, Detail World. Go over, check it out. If you want a special discount at Detail World, enter in the code Renny and you will get yourself a special deal. A lot of excitement is we had the Braid tools hit it. We've got a lot going out the door. These guys are going to get to use it for the first time, along with Rupes Flex, Griots, Milwaukee. I mean, pretty much every tool to mankind. And we kind of force you guys to move around in the tools, really get to know them a little bit. And then by the time we're done with the last polish, you can pick out what you like and go with it. We kind of force your hand a little bit. Our guest this week is we're going to have them stand up. Why don't you guys just jump behind me as a group? Come on. Everybody behind is that we got some international folks here again. And so they're going to come behind me and we're going to switch screens so they can see themselves. And so what we'll do is one at a time. I'm going to duck way down. Go for it, guys.
Jeff Patslap, Southern California.
Ramiro Torres from Oakland, California. Carlos from Costa Rica.
Luis Clasa from Florida.
Regina Fulcher, Stockton, California.
Alex, Stockton, California.
Okay. I'm going to have my two interns. You guys go ahead and sit down except for the interns. So what we do is I've never really explained this too well. And so our interns, they're basically here as coaches and trainers too. And so it's by the time that
Uh-oh. We lost your audio. Did somebody unplug something?
let's see if that's better.
You're back.
Yay. So when we have the interns come up, these are people that come through, professionals come through the training already. So they're here, and it's a little different coming through from a student, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And getting on as an instructor. Yeah. And so they're doing a fabulous job. They're here to help these men and women learn the trade at a level to where not only is their skill sets up, but their lifestyle is better. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right.
Well,
let's jump right into this.
The cool part, real quick, the cool part about the interns too is that they, it allows the perspective of somebody that's actually in the trenches and, doing stuff at that level, right? Versus,
it's kind of like a player coach, in pro sports, is that I'm the coach, but these guys are player coaches, so they're at different levels, in their business. So it's pretty amazing. So
hey, and before we jump into the topic, can we share one more event coming up?
Heck yeah!
Here comes.
We got Christmas party. We got a Christmas party coming up.
That was what I was thinking. So I've got it up on the screen. This is really for SoCal detailers, but if you're in the SoCal area, Carlos and Uni at Uber Detail throw a Christmas party every year. This year it's on Monday, December 18th. And just head on over to the Uber Detail social media for all the details. You do need to get a ticket, but that's just for your commitment to the event. And we're just going to have a fun night of hanging out with detailers and doing Christmas stuff. And it's a family event, so kids are welcome. There's going to be activities for the kids, all that kind of stuff. So
gifts
that's
for the kids. We want the families to come. And last year we even had grandparents there with their with the families and stuff. Santa's going to be there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So it's just a great time to celebrate and really not talk shop, but talk life. And it's something that, Carlos Uni and I had an idea of it, and it's really, really, really just taken off. And we're really excited about it. So it's a way to take and just socialize, see other people with like passions, and visit and really celebrate the reason for the season. So, all right, here we go. So, hey, we've all done some amount of time in a day where we have a limited amount of energy, right? Wasting your time and energy is you can't get that. You can't get that back. You can make more money. You can do all kinds of things to make more money, but you can't get your time back. Can't do it. Not gonna happen. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today, and how to better not waste your time and energy, and how to take and make yourself a better entrepreneur, and just kind of in general a more organized person. But before we jump into that, is I always say this, I know it's probably a broken wheel, is constantly asking yourself your why. Why this, why that, why am I doing this? Is that for me, when I got into self-employment, the first reason is get my mom and grandma off food stamps. But as an adult, when I jumped into this, is that I wrote it down really, and I thought about it last night for the first time in a while, is what was my young 20-year-old me thinking to jump into business? And here it goes, is I wanted to be my own boss. Is that I worked with other people well, but I kind of wanted to control my destiny. And it was really important to me that I do that. But really what it came down to is these next ones were really important to me, is I wanted to work less and earn more. Is I didn't want to sign on to the 40-hour work thing. I was really into the outdoors, really into skiing. And I wanted to allow more time to do those things and be able to take and carve out my own living while doing it. So working less and earning more, basically just 100% support my addiction to the outdoors. That's what it was about. I wanted to have more fun. I just wanted, whether it was on mountain bikes or skis, motorcycles, cars, whatever it was, I wanted to have more fun. And I thought that a job was limiting. I thought that I was showing up, and it took such a huge part of my day that the fun factor wasn't there. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to joke. I wanted a culture that was really cool, and I just wasn't finding that in a job. I wanted to build wealth. Is that I wanted to take and slowly become wealthy, all while doing all this fun stuff, right? That was this young me thinking this way. And I wanted to have cool, realistic cars and motorcycles and even a cool, realistic airplane. That was my young self thinking about this. Listen, over this time, I can start gathering these things. Now, notice how I said over time. I even knew back then it was going to take time, but I was willing to put the time in the seat to where I could go and do the things I could afford right now, all this outdoor exploration, going skiing. I could afford those things while I was saving the money up for the other things. I wanted to invest. I wanted to take and have a house, a home, which I had. I wanted to ski all over North America, which I accomplished. I did Canada. I did almost every major resort in America. There's hardly a resort that I didn't hit up in my 20s. And then I want to go back and repeat it again. Is that I just we went up to Canada, we skied Canada, and I was like, oh my God, this was cool. So guess what? Repeat. We had an annual Canada trip. We'd just go up there and ski, right? Fell in love with Idaho when I lived there. So going back constantly every summer, every winter, going back to Idaho, whitewater rafting, kayaking, skiing, mountain biking, single track motorcycle riding. My business, I'd love to say that I had this grand idea of becoming something. I was already something. I was happy with myself, and I just wanted to be out in the outdoors, smile a lot, and have a hell of a time. That was my main goal. And then my 30s hit, and I just kind of screwed that goal up. I just kind of got a little off the groove for a little while. But if you want to accomplish more and build an incredible life for yourself, not just for you, but the people around you. What about your kids? What about your family? What about your parents? Is that you need to take and manage your time, and you need to manage your energy, especially this. A lot of people don't talk about this. They don't talk about their mental energy. They don't talk about having the wrong people in your life or the wrong situations and what it takes away from your life. Doesn't add to. So you got to stay away. You can't run away from things that take away from your life, because challenges were shared with you guys. The group around me has had a tough week this week. We've lost people really close to me, have lost people this week, as in death, and it's been a tough month really of having some people I really adore that have had people die, and it gets to you. So let's talk about this for a minute. Identify. I just read off a short list to you that was from my 20s. Now, when Chris was going through items, we were looking for, when they did their You're Able little documentary thing, is I pulled out all of my photos, and Chris found at some point, maybe it wasn't then Chris, but I'd even prioritized my relationship with Diane. I wrote pros and cons down about my relationship in the early days of my relationship with my now wife, right? As I took and prioritized everything in my life. Everything was prioritized, because here's why. I had so little time to put into stuff because I was out having so much fun. Sounds nuts. Oh man, you must have been loaded. I made a good living, but I was not loaded. Is that we figured out a way, and I always played. I was always figuring out a way, and I was always staying happy. But that was identifying what was important to me in my life. And a lot of times we as people will identify what's important to other people for us to have in our life. And we fail to give to ourselves. And we start becoming a different person real quickly. When all you do is give of yourself to others, that's great. You've got to give. That's part of who I am, right? It's part of most of us love to give. But you also got to take and prioritize and make sure that you're giving to yourself. Really important, especially as you age. They say my mom, my grandparents, you guys probably heard this, my great grandparents always said, wow, as you get older, time just flies. No, as you get older is when you're younger, and remember when you're in maybe 5th grade, and it seemed like the summers lasted forever. It seemed like to go from 5th grade to 6th grade was like forever. It just drug on. 5th grade never ended. It's because all that we can relate to is the previous 2 or 3 years before that. In reality, because we're so young, we didn't relate to the years before that. As we get older and the way that we identify the time changes, because now we've got a decade behind us. Now we got 2 decades behind us. Now we got 4 or 5 decades behind us. And the amount that the amount of time still goes at the same pace, but we've gotten used to these higher paced atmospheres that we've created around us, and time flies. And so, can you slow that down? Absolutely. If you look at last year, 2022, and you look at 2023, to me, 2022 went by a lot faster. And I got to tell you, this is one of the first years in the last 7 or 8 years that it's slowed down a little bit. I can actually say this year felt a little longer and a little better than last year did. Why? I prioritized. I set boundaries. A lot of things we're going to sit and talk about right now today. Also, if you look back, why the change is we get into these lifestyle cycles, is maybe you're not growing your business. Maybe you're real happy where you're at. Do you have to change that? Do you want to change that? Is there a financial change that happened? Maybe a spouse or a loved one that was bringing in income that no longer does it, and you have to change it. But you got to ask yourself, again, priority. Do I need it? Is this a want or a need of why I'm changing this time of my life and the amount of time I spend doing fun things? So setting boundaries, saying no to things that matter to you. Justin Lobato, again, somebody that I coached and now that coaches me. We coach back and forth. How amazing is that? I can take a 40-year-old guy, 17 years younger than me, and I can go to him for input. He can go to me for input because he's matured to the point to where I trust his judgment. But here's what I trust about him. I trust how he's living. Is that if you do this, if you get a hold of Justin and there's a business opportunity and it's his kid's birthday or his wife's birthday, he ain't going. It's a hard no. He set that boundary, and I respect that. And so you got to learn to set those boundaries. The other thing is delegating. Okay, and we're going to talk about something amazing here in a little bit when it comes to delegating. But delegating, so many of us that we don't like giving, they can't do it as good as me. No, they can probably do it as good or better. That's the truth. They can probably do it as good or better. Is that, George Patton, I love this, what he said to his troops. You know what? Let them figure it out. Delegate and let them figure it out. They're going to figure out how to do it, and they might even do it better than you did. There's a general, in a time of war, telling you, let people learn. You need to learn to delegate, and you need to learn to not micromanage it. They will figure it out. But if you're in their face constantly telling them how to do it, it's okay to give them input. It's okay to give them your intent of how you would like to see this end, but then let them go figure out how to bring that to reality. Now, if it's taking them a little long or they didn't quite get it right, that's when you coach them. Not lecture them, coach them. Take breaks. A lot of times, is that I've taken, we're in the field. We'd be dropped off somewhere several days in the field as we take these little 45-minute power naps. We drop down, drop our packs, lay our head on our packs, get our feet up above our heads on a log or something like that, and you'd snooze. Maybe even not totally fall asleep. Can't tell you how much better I'd feel after taking those little breaks. Mental breaks are good too. You've got to take a break, let yourself relax, let your body relax. You don't even have to fall asleep, but learn how to relax yourself. A lot of times meditation, listen to the right music. Music will take in and soothe you. It was either going to ramp you up or it's going to soothe you. So if you know when you need soothing, know when you need to be ramped up, because energy goes both ways. Sometimes I got way too much energy, and if I listen to the wrong music, I'm off the freaking rails, man. I'm going, right? I'll drive everybody around me absolutely crazy because my energy level will be too high, So you got to bring it down a notch.
I don't take enough breaks, but I know that for sure. But the music thing, I use that to actually help me feel better. Not to give me energy, but to help me put a smile back on my face when things aren't going right.
Absolutely. Well, music can change your energy either in so many different ways. It can take in, it can make you sad at times. It can make you happy. It can rile you up when you need energy. It can tone you down. It can take your mind off things, you know. And what I found is just doing a little sing along with it, man. I'll tell you, I love to just sit there and get in a groove and go. You know, I was sharing with these guys. I found out yesterday, Spotify, that I listen to more music than 92% of Spotify listeners. I listen to music a lot. I listen to music more than I do podcasts because I find I educate my brain with knowledge at least once a day, and I entertain my brain with music all day long. I love music, and it makes a huge difference. Distractions. Let's talk about distractions. What kind of distractions are going to affect our lives? Our own distractions. You know, look, squirrel. Getting off track. Social media distractions. You know, I've got a rule. I go post out of there. And so I just, social media can be great, but not. And I've recognized a lot of people now. Rick Walling, one of our good friends, Kevin Davis, one of our good friends. I just had a day with my kids up on the ski mountain. I didn't post a single picture. I didn't need to. I didn't want to. It was my time. It's my time with my kids. Sometimes we put too much out there, and I think that we invade our own privacy, you know. But Kevin Davis, Rick Walling, they said they went on vacations, and literally the only picture they took was just the one because they forgot they're just having so much fun. I think so much of the time that we live in this society that's just bragging with their fucking pictures, and they're not really concentrating. They're concentrating on, what picture should I get, and they're not concentrating on why they're there, and it's to relax and have a good time. And so that's a distraction. Getting into arguments with people or get distractions, or getting into beefs, or oh, did you see it, man? Don't worry about other people. Let them run their own lives. Let them run their own game. Don't get suckered into their drama. Don't get suckered into your own drama. Don't engage in this shit. If you look, I post fun things, I post supportive things, and I post to let people know I'm alive. I just, Pitbull, the rapper, he's got an old fashioned phone. He calls social media the mark of the beast. He says, I don't want a phone that could give me access to stuff I shouldn't be looking at. So, I mean, if you know those old phones, they're not real easy to text on. So I'm imagining he doesn't do it. So it's a relatively young guy, that has just realized that he's going to block out the noise in his life that he doesn't need. And I think that's really, really important. Track your time. Know where it's wasted. I'm going to get into a little secret that I use to really help me with my time. And I'm really about this. Really important, especially in when you get to working, is when you start tracking your time. And I'll show you guys, remind me when we get off of here, how I did it at the shop. That was really easy. Is I would write my start time and my end time when I expected to get done. And that was based off my profitability. So I would say, okay, I'm going to start this at 8. I'm going to be done at 2 p.m. I knew if I was done at 2 p.m., I hit my profits per hour mark. Anything that was over that, I was losing money. Anything that was over that, I was losing money. You can't lose money. And so, do that. So reward yourself, celebrate your accomplishments. And I'm really taking this down to a minor scale and then taking it back up to a major scale, is that I would take, and when we started in business, like so many of you, we were very limited on our income. Okay. We didn't have we couldn't just go out and buy. We didn't believe in debt, still don't. There's good debt and there's bad debt. So when I would take, and I'd say, okay, when I have my first $1,000 week, I'm going to go buy this tool. Okay. And then I would I'd go get that tool. I'd get that accomplishment. And I'd say, okay, when I hit my first $1,500 week, I'm going to go buy a new steamer. And I kept on setting my goals that way, is that I wanted something, I needed something, but I wanted to make sure I had the financial ability to do that without going into debt. The other thing I do is I was really big on putting on my savings account. So I'd say, okay, here's the deal. I knew, and again, a lot of a good friend of mine played in the NFL, is that he would take 100% of his salary and put into savings. He lived off of his endorsements and his bonuses from reaching the playoffs. He never once in his entire career touched his salary, ever. It was all savings, 100%. So I learned at a very young age is that, let's say I did a job and it was $100. I'd put $50 of it away in savings. It was a lot. if I had to pull some out, if I needed it, well, many times I did, especially in the early days, I'd pull out of savings what I needed, and slowly but surely. Next thing I know is, I had a savings account. I started at the bare minimum. It was like $25 back then, right? And I was like, shit, I'm going to put 26 in, And the next thing I know is I kept putting money away, and all of a sudden I had 1,000. It's like, shit, I got $1,000. Next thing I know is I got 5,000. Shit, I got 5,000. Next thing I know is I've got 50,000. It grows. It grows. And I just kept putting it away. And you're so proud of yourself. You get these milestones. And for me to hit those thousands, as a kid growing up, I'd never seen that kind of money before. And here I'm putting it away and saving it. That was a big accomplishment. And I still feel that way today. Now on a bigger note is that, I'm a car guy, right? But I've kept myself from buying anything until I get another piece of property. I'm going to invest before I splurge. And so now I've got my eyes on a goal. And once I hit that goal, now I can go over it and I'm going to buy something here that's a splurge. So it's changed a lot because my platform's changed, and that's okay for you guys to do. Maybe it's a trip you want, is that I read something, and I wish I remember this quote, and it said, I would much rather fill my passport with stamps than my house with junk. Because when you travel, especially if you're traveling with a loved one, what are you doing? Is one of our students took off, Lewis took off last night, and they went to a Lakers game. That was a stamp in their passport. That was something special to do. Is those kind of investments are really important, and rewarding yourself with that is really important. Also, don't compare yourself. Is that so many times with the people we work with and the cars we work on and the homes we go to and what we see, it could get a little depressing at times because we're seeing how 1 or 2 or 5% of the population lives. You don't know what's going on behind those walls. You don't know what's gone on. You don't know what that man or woman's paid to get there. You don't know the sacrifices that's gone on. And you don't know if maybe all those sacrifices are going to take years off their life. Because I can tell you, everybody thinks it's dandy until you're dying, and when you're faced with a situation or you see people that are in desperate situations, those people realize a lot of things right then and there. And a lot of them is they don't give a shit about that big house. They don't give a shit about all the stuff in their house. Is they're thinking back of the loved ones and regrets. Progress is important, but so many people want perfection. Is we live in this time where everybody's, they concentrate on what they look like and listen, man. I mean, I look at a beautiful 80-year-old woman that's lived a great life, and she's older, she's wrinkled, she's gray, and to me, she's beautiful because she's lived this amazing life, and this soul inside that shell is so alive and with experiences and knowledge and wisdom. Is we tend to look at that outer shell that we live in or others live in, and we don't look at the inner shell. And it's a real shame because that outer shell is going to fail every single one of us if you're lucky. What I mean by that.
I don't know what this says about me, but I look at old cars that way.
I do too.
The patina, the rock chips, the everything. It's so much more interesting to me than a perfect car.
We were just, it's funny, Chris. We were just talking about that. I said, we're talking about PPF, and I'm not a real crazy guy over PPF. I kind of want I want to remember when I got those rock chips coming up the road in the 911. I want to remember is that I'm not driving a car for it to nearly. I'm driving the car for my experience. Is I'm not driving it for other people's experience. And so, I'm not against PPF, but we were talking about different viewpoints on PPF and so forth. And it's something that I said, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. So create something that's fulfilling for you. Now I could go back up. Remember that list I just gave you. I wish I would have lived, and I think that my kids probably wish too, I would have just kept those priorities. And asking our kids didn't want shit. You know, when we built our biggest, baddest house, that was our least favorite house. And why did I build it? You know, God, it was for my ego. It was for, I thought that, I didn't have that as a kid. I thought our kids would enjoy it. And all it created was more work and more stress. Is actually my little house that's right here. I love my little house. This is the smallest house I've lived in 30 years. And I absolutely love it. It's set up the way I like it. We're finishing it out. It's who we are. We live there, but this is what I'm after right here. You know, this is my sanctuary. I love this. Perfection. It's not just perfection on ourselves that we look at. And we put ourselves underneath a microscope ourselves many times. Some of you need to put yourself under a microscope because you're a little hunked up, you know. But we also put our work and our craftsmanship underneath a microscope, and we expect perfection. But are you getting paid for that? Is that what your customer expects? Is that what your customer wants? And is that what you sold? Is that what you should be selling? You got to ask yourself that. Tasking. I am a tasker. Is that I task myself and I subscribe to tasking myself every single day of my life. If it's not, I had the honor of meeting Warren Buffett in a business situation. He was one of our customers in another business we own. And he said this, I've said it many times on the podcast, if it's not written, it's not happening. And so you'll see now I'm going more into an actual app that we have that we're using more and more, that Jessica, a friend of many of us, she's using it. And I'm going to get on it and go through some training with her. That's a professional tasking. A lot of times what I do is I do index cards. This is old. Chris and I just started doing this. This is a boss of mine did this. We'll set the index cards out. We have all these responsibilities and things. Then we start taking, okay, this index card goes with this one, staple together, stack it together. We start narrowing it down. It's a brilliant way to task yourself. But I'm constantly tasking. Tasking is something that if you're not doing, you need to do. Now, right now, I use notes on an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, you can use the Notes app. That's what this is. My notes for the podcast is on the Notes program. It's an incredible program. I use it every single day of my life, and it's really a game changer for me to be able to use that. There's new apps coming out now. If you're in business, is that looking at apps and software as a virtual assistant. I'm going to tell you, man, it's a part-time person that's working for you, and it costs you $100 a month. Is that if you're not utilizing software, you need to. It's a game changer. Even my tasking is going over to software. It's just so much better. Now, to me, nothing beats the pen and paper. Is that I am not going to relate to it near as well if I don't write it down. If I write something down, my connection to that task or that issue, that dream, that problem solving, whatever it may be, is far greater. It's far greater when I write versus just texting or putting it into a notes page. So our daily hit list is that this is what my daily hit list look like. For those that aren't watching it right now or can't see it, is that I have a hit list. It starts out with working out. Now, before that, though, is I have my 3 in the morning, 3 in the night. So I give thanks. 3 things I want to be thankful for today. I do that right when I wake up. I sit there, meditate on some things, and what are 3 things I really want to see happen today that I'm going to be thankful for? I do that at night, but the opposite. 3 things I am thankful for that happen during the day. But I go out, I work out, I walk the dogs. This was from last week. I called Karen, which we had to do some. We had to take and do some. We had to take and do some business talk, prep for the Mafia event. One reel, call door company, Matt meeting, Michael Barnett email, RIP. That means go see my horse. Mafia webinar, Diane time, real estate, cars, rest. That's what I live off of every day when you guys aren't here. I make this list and I task myself every single day of my life. This one's a rolling task list. They change, but most of them, half of them don't. Half of them do not. Now, what's real estate and cars mean? I go research real estate, and then I go look at cars. Remember, the priority is right now I want to invest. Now here, as soon as I find the next investment and I go on that, that will be reversed. Now I'm going to start shopping, and then I'm going to keep researching. Okay. And I shop, but I might not buy. I might go ahead and, if I find the right property, because there's opportunities popping up right now as we speak, I might do that. Your time and energy, extremely valuable, is that you can't treat your time like you do a task. You're not getting that time back, man. And you might think, hey, I'm 20 years old right now. You're not going to be 20 for long. These years go by very quickly, and you got to take the most advantage of that time that you got. I hear young people say this, I'm young, I'll worry about that later. No, worry about it right now. You don't have to be serious, but go ahead and start putting. Right now, if you are under 30, I'm going to task you with something right now. Put $6,500 a year away. Somebody do the math. How much is that a month? $6,500. Why? That's where you can tap out on most retirement accounts right now. Put $6,500 away. $542. It's car payment. Don't buy a car. I believe me. You're gonna have millions of dollars when you're my age. You're gonna have millions of dollars in your retirement fund if you start that right now. If you're 20 years old and you do that for the next 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, you're gonna have millions involved. At least a million. If you're 30 or 35 and do that for the next 20, 25 years, you're gonna have $500,000 to $1 million. Is to start putting that away. So here's my 8 times 3. This is something that I've really come back to this year. Remember, I feel I've had more time this year than previous years. In the last 7 or 8 years, here's my 3 a day. Work. You get up in the morning. Okay. You're going to work. You work 8 hours. Then you come back to the next 8 hours and you play. And then you come back to the next 8 hours and you sleep. So let's break that down. 8 hours. Everybody says, oh man, I can't get it done. Yeah, you can. You've been programmed, and you've programmed yourself to think you can't get it done. You got plenty of time to get it done. You got plenty of time to make a living. You don't need any more time than that. Here's why. In my playtime, I'm not just playing. That doesn't mean I'm going out and skiing 8 hours in a day. That means I'm looking at real estate. That means that I'm skiing. That means that I'm walking. That means that I'm exercising. That means I'm lifting. That's all my different play app. That means I'm sitting with Diane listening to music while she sips some rum and we're just talking. Okay, so all that built into it. And then 8 hours of sleep. I can tell you this right now, sleep deprivation is real. If you've ever gone through it, it is nasty. And if you want to get yourself unhealthy, don't get enough sleep. I'll say, I'm young. Yeah, you do. You need it. The human body, there are cultures I've gone to, Spain, different parts of Europe, they think we're nuts for working like we work. They just think we're absolutely nuts because they got this balance thing down. A vacation. Try to go to different parts of Europe and Spain in August. Good luck. They're on vacation. A lot of things shut down. So work 8 hours, play 8 hours, sleep 8 hours. What's that turn out to? How many hours in a day? Right there. There it is. Well, I'm just going to rob it. You're robbing from something from the future, and you're robbing your time right now. Now, are there days? Shit, man. How many hours were we here yesterday? 10? 10 hours. So I'm preaching here, but next week, I will not work 8 hours. Now we have one day I will. We had 2 days that next week that I'll work over 8 hours. The rest of the time I won't. I will not work 8 hours those days. So I'm going to give myself comp time. I'm working real hard this week. I'm taking some of that back next week. Make sense? The following weeks, I'm taking a lot of it back. A lot of it back. So my thoughts on overworking is I think that we have taken in, especially since social media, this whole grind thing, especially in blue collar, is, my brother's a master level electrician. master. Okay. He doesn't work 8 hours. It wears on him. At that level, when he's a master, he's got to do a lot of thinking, right? He's mentally beat up. He works at a very secure location. You got to be on top of your game. And they give him rest in between because they realize that what he does, he's at a nuclear facility. And what he does is he's got to be on it. And he's one of the ones that's responsible for keeping all of us safe, right? And so is he's learned too, is through his career, is that if you overwork and overstress and undersleep, is that you're taking years off your lives. And what you're really doing is you're affecting, you think you're making more money now. It's short thinking. It's short money. What you're doing is costing yourself a lot of income. Right now, if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're grinding it out, listen, you're gonna have to work hard. I'm not saying you're not going to. But what you don't realize is that you're going to break yourself down for your most profitable time in your life, and that's your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So if you burn yourself out and damage yourself in your 20s and 30s, your profitability in your 40s, 50s, and 60s is going to go down. And that's when you really make the money. Okay? Or you're going to take them and burn yourself out so bad that you got to work until your 70s, and then you're going to die. There's reality. How many people now just live to go out? The average male in the United States, I think, lives until 84. Now the retirement age is saying it's like 77. Come on, really? You're going to give yourself 5 years to go out and live, and you're going to be all broken up, going to doctor's appointments, all hunked up, wishing you're dead because you beat yourself up so bad. So arrive in style. What do I mean by that? Is that my body, when I'm done with this journey, it's going to be worn out. But it's going to be worn out from fun, not work. As I've done enough damage to myself mentally by overworking. But I'm going to take and arrive at my end days in style, and I'm not going to be stressed out, and I'm not going to be broken, and I'm going to go out on my terms. I am not going to let society dictate to me how I'm going to go out. So with that, you've got to go back, that little boy, that little girl. And I haven't said this in a while. I think the best years of my life was right around 10 years old. It was all about bicycles, jumping, fun, hide and go seek. I mean, just all these different things we did, adventures. I asked myself this, would the 10-year-old Renny be digging the current me? The answer is last year was no. This year, a lot better. A lot better. I played a lot, had a lot of fun, but he's still saying, dude, you're boring. Dude, you got to get with it. Dude, why are you thinking that way? He's got to go back to those original reasons why I started it, is to have fun. Why are we working? Are we working just to fucking survive? Is that what we're working for? Really? Is that our reason? Is just to survive? Some of us aren't going to be wealthy. If by all means, in some of this world, everybody that's listening to this is wealthy. Financially wealthy compared to other people. Now, compared to other people at the top, are we wealthy? No, I don't give a shit. I don't compare myself to them. I'm where I'm at. But I can tell you this, you can have a wonderful life. You can take and build your dreams that 10-year-old you had. You can take and pay the bills and eat good and have fun. It can be done. If you're running yourself into the ground, it's a decision that you made. And you keep saying yes to it to yourself. The first boundaries you're going to set are with you on your time and on your priorities. It's the first boundaries you're going to set. When you set those with yourself, now you're going to set them with other people. You have to set those boundaries with other people. So some steps are easier. Some steps are going to be a little harder. I can tell you this, redirecting your priorities for your own self-use is one of the most difficult things you're ever going to do, especially if you've allowed yourself to overwork and underplay for many years. It's going to be really hard to break that habit. But your choices are to go on as you are or to go on as you want to be. There's your choices. And it's going to come down to managing your time and your priorities. Build passion for life. Fill in what's left with work. Okay, build your passions up. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. At first, you're going to feel it financially. Ooh, off my game a little bit. I'm not telling you to take your game off completely. I'm not telling you not to build an empire. I'm not telling you not to be that millionaire, multimillionaire. I'm telling you to take your time doing it, because here's what you're going to do. When you fill your days with passion and you have a lot of love because of all the shit you're doing and all the fun. Well, I love what I do. At some point, you're not. There's a first and a last day for everything. If you burn yourself out, I still love what I do. Why? I don't burn myself out. But how many of us have gotten sick and tired of doing something, and it's because we allowed ourselves to get burned out on it? And if you're young, in your 20s and 30s, maybe you haven't experienced that quite yet. I don't want you to. I don't want you to experience that level. It's not fun. But building up your personal culture and attracting the right people will come faster. The money will follow if you're right in the right state of mind. If you're managing your time and you're managing your priorities, you're having a hell of a time doing it. You're having a hell of a lot of fun. You're enjoying life, and you're looking down the road. I remember going into a bike store, okay? And I'm going to end with this. I haven't felt that. I just smelt the bike store. Have you ever gone through and you relive something? You go, God, I can smell walking into this bike store. Mountain biking was just really getting big, right? We just had Rock Shocks before. We're all 100% just a rigid frame and shock, right? And I remember walking in and seeing my first stump jumper, specialized stump jumper with suspension. And I went, damn, I'm going to get that. So I went back and I worked a couple weeks really hard, and I set up a priority. If I bring this in, I'm going to go buy that. Well, what did I do? I was so excited about having that new bike. I rode a lot more and worked a little less. And guess what? It didn't cost me a dime. My positive energy I was putting out and how happy I was about myself brought in more business. So, hey, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you guys go out and build some passion. I hope this helped you a little bit. Chris, appreciate it. You put a lot of these notes together. You're able to read my mind in some ways.
Hey, no problem. Gotten
to know me a little bit.
Getting a little better at it. So, but cool.
You are. Well, we'll see you up here tomorrow. We're going to go to work right now. We got a lot of work to do. We started these guys a little early this morning, and so they're going to go do and evaluate. But you all, man, have a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We love hearing from you. If this is our goal with this is to impact one person's life every podcast. It's always been our goal from number one. This is number one. How many podcasts is this? 100 and
this is 189, I think.
We got to plan out number 200 has got to be pretty special.
So we had a comment in here that was pretty cool. It was real simple. It just said, I've got goosebumps. So
I like that.
We used to, it reminded me in the audio business that was our thing. That was what the boss always reminded us, is that we deliver goosebumps. That was our goal.
Oh, I like that.
We're installing home theaters, and it didn't matter what was what, as long as once it turned on and that movie scene came on and all the sound was going, that the person that owned the theater had goosebumps. That was the goal.
Oh, that was cool. Well, I'm going to go in and straighten my eyebrows out tonight and ask Diane if I'm giving her goosebumps.
Oh, goodness.
All right, guys. With that, we're getting out of here. You guys take care. Have a powerful rest of the week. And, hey, man, go out and task yourself. Manage your time. Watch your time carefully. Don't waste it. And we'll talk to you next time. We're out here, guys. See ya.
See you guys.